Okay, so it is getting really close to fall, and today we're going to be making a more fall winter inspired soap. I'm going to probably call it lumberjack because it is a kind of a piney scent. The fragrance oil we're using is called Alaskan Wilderness, and it's from Rustic Essentials. It has a lot of woodsy notes. I'll put a better scent description down in the box for you. But it's going to be a mix of two different layers. We're going to use some soapy shreds and a swirl. Kind of never done this before, but I've wanted to do a double layer soap with one layer being soap shreds for a while now. So we're going to try it out today. And I have my goat's milk and our lye solution in here. We're going to go ahead and get that strained into our oil mixture, which this is just my base recipe of oils, a standard recipe that I use for most of our soaps. It is sustainably harvested and organic palm oil, organic unrefined coconut oil, unrefined organic cocoa butter, castor oil, and organic olive oil. Not in that order for the proportions, but those are the oils that are in here. And then I soap at about a 30% water discount. And soaping about 86 degrees today, both my oils and my water. Actually, my goat's milk and lye solution was actually a little bit cooler than that, but the oils were around 82. So we're gonna go ahead and get this blended up a little bit before we add our fragrance oil. And I wanted to make a fun soap because I've honestly had like a crappy, horrible last few months, and this was the first soap that I thought of in a while that I came up with a design for. So it's been kind of hard to get my creative juices going. So it was kind of stifled by a lot of things that were going on in my life. But today I'm breaking out my fun stick blender, my lightsaber stick blender, and we're gonna make a really cool soap and have a little fun. So anyway, we're gonna get our oils blended up. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and add our fragrance oil. And if you've been watching my videos and you watched the last video that I posted, which probably is the last video I posted, could have been one of the last two, but anyway, where I was soaping and stupidly took my goggles off and got raw soap batter in my eye, you will be happy to know that I actually do have on my goggles currently. I usually do, and that was just an odd circumstance, but this is the first time I've ever soaped with my glasses on and goggles because I can't wear contacts right now because of my eye. But anyway, so we'll see how that goes. I haven't done that before, and honestly, it's kind of blurry, so not blurry, but it's not as easy to see through two layers instead of just the one. I'm not taking my goggles off, let me tell you. I do not want to do that. So I kind of have a double extra layer of protection because I have my actual glasses on too. I feel like I fell off a horse and this is my first soap after falling off the horse. Got to get back on again. And it actually looks like this fragrance oil, which I've not used it before, is kind of loosening up and going to make the batter a little more liquidy. So that's good for what I want to do because it's going to be a little bit before I can get to my colors. So I'm dividing these off into two with a little bit more of the lighter green. This one is Rainforest Mica from Nurture Soap. And this one is, it's called Woodland Green Pigment. So it's not a mica, it's a pigment from Crafter's Choice, so Wholesale Supplies Plus. And it's just a really good it's really earthy green. Really reminds me of pine trees and any kind of evergreens, really. And I'm going to run my stick blender through this for a little bit. And as you can tell, the pigments take a little bit more effort to make sure that they're fully blended than the micas do. So that's why I wanted to make sure I got that really good, blended up really well. So for the bottom layer, we're actually going to pour some of the batter, pour some into our mold. Let me get these out of the way. And then I made a small, little tiny batch of cold processed soap that I am going to add some soap shreds to. And it's kind of, I don't know if you probably can't tell from here, but there's a blend of 3 different colors of brown in here. So it's kind of a gradient effect. And since I need some of the other batter, I'm gonna have to put the shreds in this way, where I would typically mix it into the batter first before I poured it. But all right, so now I'm gonna use my spatula to kind of get them mixed in. And our batter is really nice and loose, so that is really good for this one. I just wanna make sure I have enough of the soap shreds, and definitely enough of the different colors here. So it looked like I was going a little light on the dark, so we will just put a few more in. And this is going to displace some of our batter, of course. So we'll have batter left that would take the place. So I'm gonna save some of these, and whatever's left over, I'm going to make another little hand soap for guests and stuff, and maybe samples or something. So now I'm actually gonna have to let this sit for a little bit because it's still so nice and loose. Well, this one's actually thickened up pretty good. I would imagine that the darker is even better because, yeah, blended it so much. So it's really good. So it might be okay to go ahead and pour that in to do our swirl. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pour the darker, gonna hold some back, the darker on one side and the lighter down the side on the other. And hold some of that back. And then we're gonna have to let this set for a minute so that this layer can harden up, so that it won't blend in, because it is still really loose over here. So we'll be back in a few minutes and we'll pour this off. All right, so this is firmed up enough. It's still a little jiggly, but I hope I can get this poured off. Our one batter in here, the green, is really thick, whereas this one's still pretty loose. So I'm going to just do a couple little turns in here to get a little of that mixed in before we first pour, so we don't just have a big huge glob of the dark green when we pour it in, or when I pour it in. All right, so let's see what we have to do here. So I got a big, huge chunk of that dark green. So I'm just going to try to break that up a little bit. So I don't have a big, huge glob of it. And I didn't have as much displacement as I kind of thought I was going to with this one. So those soapy shreds didn't take up as much room as I thought they were going to. So I'm gonna not have enough to do any guest soaps or anything, but that's all right. Maybe one or two. I use some these silicone molds that are the perfect size for guest size hand soaps. Got them ages ago at Amazon, from Amazon, and I just love those things. But I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna take my, this is a bamboo skewer. It's actually half of one. I cut them in half because I'm frugal like that. And we're going to just do a swirl in here. I'm gonna try to pull up some of that lighter colors that are underneath to kind of mix in that dark. And I probably broke through my layer there, but that's all right. And so I'm gonna let this sit up a little bit more, and then I'm gonna come back and add the leftover green that we have onto the top, and we'll do a little texture. All right, so let's see if we can get some of this on here. The dark is still pretty loose, so it's good. Right now it kind of make a perfect like soap frosting consistency here. Maybe be even a little bit more firm. And the lighter is kind of firmed up on me too. Still a little bit looser. Those pigments just have a tendency to thicken faster. And granted, I've never used this fragrance oil before either, but generally if I'm going to be soaping for something, with something for the first time, I don't choose one that's going to misbehave. So I didn't look at the description, but I'm pretty sure this one behaved. So that shouldn't have been an issue for this one. All right, so I'm gonna take my bamboo skewer again, and I'm just going to take the middle, and we're going to try to get those two to kind of mold together here without mixing all of it together. All right, so that part is done. Now I'm going to go get a few little additions that we're gonna put on the top. I'm kind of deciding I want to do a little spoon on this right here on the sides, just to, it was looking just a little too rustic for me there, so. And maybe this will kind of enhance the woodland themes and kind of look a little bit like pine coney. I should probably spin this instead of trying to do this kind of blind. All right, that looks really good. All right, so now I have in here a little mix of organic coffee, some organic dried rosemary, and some organic coffee grounds. Now this is kind of just trying to, you know, when you're walking through the forest floor and, you know, you have a path, but the paths usually have some leaves and stems and twigs and stuff and pine cones and acorns and all that good stuff. So that's what this is. And we are going to put that right down the middle. And just see how that looks. So maybe I'll call this one, instead of lumberjack, maybe we'll call it walk in the woods. What do you think? I don't know. Kind of looks more like a walk in the woods. This little center reminds me of like a walking path when you're taking a hike. So anyway, if you have any opinions on the matter, you can leave them down in the description box, and I will take your word under advisement, and we'll see about making this either lumberjack or walk in the woods, or maybe you guys have an even better suggestion, so just let me know. Okay, so I am kind of super excited to see what this one looks like on the inside. I already took it out of the mold, so I kind of got a little bit of an idea, but I just really want to see how the layer came out with the addition of the shreds in the bottom. We'll see how that worked, but never done that before. Actually, I kind of did in another bar, but it was a really small batch, and I didn't use quite as many soap shreds, and it didn't have the layer on top. It had some other embeds in it, so it didn't have the two distinct layers, which I hope we end up with two distinct layers, but we shall see. Now this one has the organic material on top, the organic rosemary and the organic sesame seeds and some organic ground coffee. So thinking that would pretty much cause some drag marks. I'm going to put this on its side and see if we can avoid that happening. To get this lined up. All right, so let's see how this turned out. I do remember when I was doing the top of this one, I kind of got some, it looked like I broke. I did kind of right there, you can see where I broke through a little bit with the swirl into the bottom layer. But you can see two distinct layers, right? Kind of looks like water on top, which was sort of kind of what I was going for. I wanted it to look like kind of like a waterfall, you know, the breakwater and the waterfall, or breakwater, that's surf, but I think it turned out really cool, if I do say so myself. And this one was fun to make. I haven't felt very creative. A lot of things been going on in our life, but for the last 6 months, and probably longer than that really, but the other day I was just like, I had this sense of peace come over me, and kind of felt at peace. It was cooler, the fall coming on, kind of makes you a little hopeful, as this is my favorite time of year, and I love to decorate. Last year I don't even think we didn't decorate. I was actually not feeling too well last Christmas and Thanksgiving, so we didn't do a whole lot, and just our personal life was a little bit of a mess with family stuff. But this year I'm feeling a little bit better. You know, I've got physically feeling better anyway, and mentally too. You kind of come to terms with your circumstances and learn to accept and embrace what you got going on. Try to find some good in it, which is what I've always tried to do. So I think this is really happy. I really wish I could go take a walk in the woods, you know, just a hike. Not very many opportunities to hike here in Florida. Well, I mean, you can, but it's really, really hot. So for most of the year. And then we have the beautiful weather, which is when winter and fall, it turns really nice. So maybe then we'll get out to one of the parks, which we do have quite a few walking trails. Just no hills to climb, no waterfalls to go look at. Oh, there's kind of one that's it's a waterfall, but it's part of it was a what do you call those things when the earth falls in? Sinkhole. It's a big sinkhole that has a waterfall going down into it. Not too far away from us, probably about an hour and a half away. Never actually been there, and I thought it was a little silly, but to go see a waterfall in a sinkhole, but it's all we got. And it looks pretty, so on the pictures. So maybe we'll do that. We've been wanting to travel a little bit more. We finally got a new car that will allow us to do that. We won't have to rent vehicles all the time, which was getting quite expensive. But so anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. And if you think of a name for this one, I'm still kind of struggling. Maybe walk in the woods. I already used take a hike on a soap I do for a wholesale customer, so can't use that one. But so if y'all think of anything, let me know. Put it in the comments down below if I haven't thought of anything by the time I post this video. I'll check out your suggestions and see if I can use any of them. If I happen to use any of them, I'll send you a free bar. So I'll let you know if I do use one of your suggestions. So you can message me here or just put a comment or Instagram or whatever. But we do appreciate all of our new viewers, and we thank you all for subscribing to our channel. So if you want to, you can subscribe if you haven't already. Like this video and send us a comment to let us know what you think about it and if you think of a name for this one. But we'll talk to you later. Y'all have a good day.